Hello and welcome to episode number 44 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is, are you doing it just for the money? Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trin. Now, that might be a silly question that I posed out there. And you might be thinking, of course, Lynn, I'm doing it for the money. Of course, I want to make more money. I want to get more clients. And look, I totally agree. I get that, because that's where I was at one point in my online personal training business, that I was barely able to survive, barely making income to pay rent, to pay the bills, and to live a good life, right? And what I'm telling you from my own experience is, when I was doing it primarily for the money, I was helping everybody and anybody and trying to get more clients. And I was on the phone 8 hours a day, cold calling people, not cold calling as in calling up people from the yellow pages. And if you're too young to know what the yellow pages are, it's just basically grabbing a number off the internet and giving them a call. The white pages, I should say. But I was doing, and I was a hustler, and I've hustled, and I can work my ass off. But in working your ass off and in doing it this way, what happens is you lose your ability to create and innovate. And that is the most important skill you have as a fitness business owner, especially if you're trying to, become the ultimate person, go-to expert inside your field, to dominate your marketplace and be that go-to expert. You need to consistently innovate. You need to consistently build trust. What I truly believe is that as a fitness business entrepreneur looking to branch out into the online space, your number one role, right? Your number one role is to create a tribe, is to create a movement of what you believe in, is to be able to build connections with multiple different people and prospects who don't know you, but they're going to follow you because of, number one, your personality, number two, your expertise, and number three, the knowledge and your ability to give back in value. Okay, and that is your primary role as a personal trainer. And why I brought up this topic today is because for so long I was doing it for the money. I was going in there, I was running leads, I was very tactical, and being tactical, I was looking at performing a particular task to get an outcome in that moment, okay? Basically, the difference between a strategist and a tactician, and I've gone through this in my other previous podcast, is the fact that the tactician will run a trick, a hack. They'll look for an email headline for something that can produce a result right then and there. The strategist, okay, what the strategist will do is the strategist might compile a fair few tactics, but be able to hit multiple outcomes with it. And what I mean by that is, the tactician looks at running a Facebook ad to get cheap leads. The strategist looks at running the Facebook ad to build branding, to build trust, to deliver value, to build an email list, and to get leads. So you kind of knock 5 birds with the one stone, being the strategist, okay? And so, you have to ask yourself, is everything that you're doing at this moment in time fixing just one thing, or is it solving many different issues you have in your business? We're talking about branding, we're talking about building trust, we're talking about adding value, we're talking about being seen as the number one expert inside your field, okay? And what stemmed this whole podcast episode was that for the past 2 days, I've been on strategy calls. And sorry, I don't mean to call them strategy calls, because when most business coaches do strategy calls, they try to sell you into a very, very expensive program. These were actual proper blueprint calls where I sat down with personal trainers around the world, helping them in 15-30 minutes map out a blueprint, okay? No selling. Pure value. And what I did, and what I noticed for most personal trainers, was that they were in particular niches, okay, purely for the money. They were doing it purely because they thought that it was a money-making machine. And the biggest example I can give you right now is a guy, I'm not going to name any names, but he wanted to train high-level entrepreneurs around the world. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, what's your background? He's like, okay, well, I do kickboxing. I do martial arts. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, inside that background, what kind of passion or what kind of results have you gotten with higher-level entrepreneurs? And it's kind of like, well, he hadn't established any results. And I'm like, okay, cool. But what's your story? Why do you want to help him? And the story was that, if he can help these people, he can create better environments, he can create change and movements. And whilst that is good, I really dug down deep because I really wanted to know, okay, well, how much do you know about these high-level entrepreneurs? If we niche down, Who are they? Are they brick and mortar business owners? Are they internet marketing entrepreneurs? Who are they? Because essentially what happens is when you niche down, the first thing I'll generally say is I'll say, good, go out and find the top people in this field that you're trying to change and go and ask them to transform them. Your number one goal is to make them your testimonial, to make these people. So if you follow internet marketing, inside the internet marketing space, I would get someone like Kern to be a testimonial. If he goes around and tells all these internet marketers, oh, well, Lynn Trin helped transform me, I've got a great testimonial right there. And so with this young fella, basically I went through and I said, okay, well, why do you want to do it? And to me, if you don't have a story, if you don't have a story of why you want to help the people that you've chosen to help, whether it's changed your own life, whether or not you love working with them, whether or not you just connect, whether or not you've built out a system, a proprietary system to help these type of people change, and you've seen the impact personally, then basically it doesn't feel congruent to me. And if it doesn't feel congruent to me, another personal trainer, well, does it feel congruent to prospects who don't even know you? And that's one of the things that I want you to ask yourself today is that who are you helping and why? Okay, and this young guy, we had to go back and we had to restructure his business model to really go, okay, these are the questions I want you to answer. Okay, who are you helping? Why do you want to help them? Okay, and why do you want to help these people? Do you have some sort of proprietary program? Do you work with these people on a daily basis? And then I want to know what's your story. Oh no, who are you and what's your story? Because in the modern day, in this modern world where, business isn't run the same, the barrier to entry is so low that anybody can start a business. People want to connect on a deeper level to find out who's the real deal and who's not. Okay. And this is what you understand is that, cool, you have this proprietary system, but who are you? What is your story and can your prospects connect with that? So for me, the reasons why so many trainers start to connect with me is because I'm a personal trainer and I did this stuff 3 years ago. I've been doing this stuff for 3 years. Okay. I've gone through the trenches. I've hired coaches. I've hired mentors. I've gone through a lot of bad mentors. I've cold called over the phone. I know what it feels like to be a salesperson as opposed to a coach. I know what it feels like when I don't get my clients' results, and that's purely my fault because I don't have the systems in place. So these are the things. This is my story. This is my background. And within the online coaching PB City that I was in, I had my story too. That I was fat, that I was overweight, that I wanted to get stronger, I wanted to get leaner, I wanted more self-confidence. Okay, and this was me. And I go through kind of the internal struggles, okay? Because what I want you to understand out of this podcast is people buy not for the external struggles, but they buy for the internal struggles. Okay, so the external struggles might be, look, I want to lose weight. And if you keep asking why, if you keep asking me why I want to lose weight, I'm going to get down to going, okay, well, I just want to be loved. I want to feel more attractive. And then, you ask why do you want to feel more attractive? And I'm like, well, I just want to look good so I can pick up chicks. And you're going to ask, well, why do you want to pick up chicks? And ultimately it will lead down to, I want to be loved, or I want to improve my status somehow, right? That is the internal struggle. Okay. And that's where you want to get to. In order for you to build trust, okay, your clients and your prospects need to see that your internal struggle is very congruent with theirs. Okay? So if you're trying to train a niche and you don't have an internal struggle that is congruent with their internal struggle, it's going to be a lot harder to build rapport. It's going to be a lot harder to build trust, especially when they don't know who you are. Okay, so this is the key fundamental, is that going from external struggle to, my physical body, I want to lose weight, I want to get bigger arms, I want to get a bigger chest, I want more muscle. That's all physical, right? That's all on the external. To going, okay, well, what's the internal struggle? Because I'm in shape and my prospect wants to get in shape. So our external values align, but do our internal values align? Do I really know what he's going through? And when you start to understand that, and this is why it's so important to have your story, right? What is your story? And why did you get started in the fitness industry? And why do you want to help your niche so much? You start tapping into the internal struggle. Okay, and I'm telling you why this is so important is because most personal trainers, in fact, all of them, don't know this. And the reasons why you don't know this is because you don't have to know this. Okay, I'm telling you this because the average personal trainer makes a bare minimum wage. They make anywhere from $34,000 a year, right? And so the average personal trainer shouldn't know this. But I'm not here to help the average personal trainer. I'm here to help the personal trainer that wants to build a multi-million-dollar enterprise, wants to build legacy, wants to stand up for something. Now,
If you're that type of personal trainer, you want more than $34,000 a year, apply and listen to what I'm trying to tell you. And if it clicks and if you've had any epiphanies, then fantastic, because it wasn't until I learned about how can my internal struggle be congruent with theirs, okay, in order for them to love, know and trust me already. Because if my internal struggles are congruent with theirs, if I've been working with all these guys and I've got the same problems they have and I resolved it, well, holy crap, I've now got the answer. They can't go to anybody else but me, right? And so in this day and age, number one, your task for today is to, number one, understand who exactly your niche is. The second thing is, why are you working with them? Do you love them so much? Do you have a proprietary system? What's so different about you? Like, if I was to ask you, hey, John, do you have a 12-week program? What's so special about it? And you'll tell me it's an awesome program. And I'm like, so what? And basically what I'm trying to get you to do is try to go from the external, right? Go from the external struggle of your program to it changes your body. And when I keep asking, so what, that program should go to the internal very, very quickly. And the faster you get to the internal struggle, which is the reasons why they have to change, that it's going to make or break their relationship. I just want to feel loved, because if I can pick up chicks, that will make me feel more loved. And I've got all these sort of self-confidence issues. If you can base your story around that and get your program to sell the internal struggle and make them feel as though it's going to resolve the internal struggle, you will win. But, and here's the big kicker, but there comes a time where you have to be genuine, you have to be authentic, you have to have your own story for wanting to help your niche, which is why I'm saying niche down. And you know what? What's fantastic for you listening today is that most personal trainers don't know this. Okay, and I'm going to be honest, most personal trainers don't know this. But when in the next year, in the next 3 years, when the online training space explodes, because we can see this trend. It started off with all these gyms opening up in a few years back, and now that gyms are slowly coming down there, the problem with having gyms is that you had more trainers, right? So more trainers entered the space. Now, all these gyms are closing down. Well, where do you think the trainers are going to head to? They either quit and they go, but all the other trainers will start to go online. And when trainers start to go online, it's going to be more and more competition doing the same thing. And so there's going to be no money in it. And what's going to happen, in my prediction, is that these trainers are going to jump into these micro niches. So here's your chance, right? Here's your chance. You need to take action on this. Here's your chance to grow, get into a micro niche, dominate, and start building your story and your why. Okay. And if you understand the internal struggle and the external struggle, everybody markets to the external struggle, which is the body. But if you need to penetrate that internal struggle with your program, with your course, with your training, okay, whatever you do. And if you can do that, you will dominate. Now, please go take action on this. Please come up with your story. What I want you to do is share this podcast, send it to a friend, a personal trainer right now, and tell them, well, what's your story? Why do you want to help this niche? And if you can come up with a clear line, a clear sentence, it has to be clear, because here's the thing. If your personal training buddies, right, if your colleagues, your friends, they know what you do and they can't even really feel what you do, how do you think your prospects will feel like when they don't even know who you are, when they've come into contact with you for the very first time, know exactly what you're doing, if your colleagues, your friends, personal trainers who are in the industry don't even know what you're doing? Okay, so a really big test for you today is to go and send this podcast, send it to another friend trainer, tee up with an accountability buddy, okay, and start listing out your niche and be specific as to why you want to help these specific people and what is your story. Okay, because until you can come up with a congruent story, until you can come up with something that moves, that is genuinely moving, right, you're always going to be chasing the money, and that's not where I want you to be. So go and do that. And of course, if you really enjoyed this podcast episode, please leave a review and let me know. Leave an honest review. Let me know what this was like and where I can help you. And if I can help you more with sharing more insights like this, I would be happy to do so, but I need to know. So what you can do is go into iTunes after you've done this, leave a review and subscribe there. All right. Have a fantastic day.
Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.